Hi everybody and welcome back to Kevin's Upfront Opinion today. So, today I thought I'd speak about Nigel Farage. Now, Nigel Farage isn't somebody I generally talk about or personally try and hold accountable for anything he really says, because to me, he just comes up with so much rubbish. Now, when it comes to Nigel Farage, I have the utmost respect for what he's done over the years. You know, he's tried to take on the establishment, succeeded. Tried to get the UK out of the EU, succeeded. Took him a long time to be able to do that, but he succeeded. Now, when it comes to creating a political party and being successful and being able to take on the parties that have been around for a long time, will he be able to do it? Because he keeps on coming out with these comments. You know, it's like I had my father-in-law speak to me yesterday saying, I've seen all these videos about Nigel Farage and how wonderful he's going to do at the next election and all this kind of rubbish on TikTok and YouTube and everything, which is all well and good, because to me, Nigel Farage reminds me, I'm not saying he's anything like these people personally, but the way that he works, he reminds me a lot of Donald Trump, and I'll explain this in a moment, and he also reminds me of Adolf Hitler. Okay, and I know I'm going from one extreme to the other, and the reason for this, and the other person he reminds me of, is Tommy Robinson. Now, none of those four people have anything in common, not really. But the reason I say it is because what he's good at is picking a subject and getting people to go behind him. That's what Adolf Hitler was good at in the 40s. You know, in the 40s, sorry, not in the 40s, in the 30s, you had all the problems with money. You know, he said that he wanted a revolution, take over the country, change things for the better. Okay, and because of the economic crash that happened in America, was it Black Tuesday or whatever it was called, I can't remember, but when Wall Street crashed, affected the rest of the world, massively affected the UK, especially affected Germany, and he warned that that type of thing was going to happen. A bit like Vince Cable did back in about 2009, 2010, before the banks crashed. Same kind of thing, warned it. And then he managed to get a whole country, got millions of people behind him because of what he was saying, and people believed him. Whether he was right or wrong, okay, that's not for me to say. Donald Trump done exactly the same thing. Fed into people's fears, what people were fed up of, okay, and managed to get them to rally behind him, so people had the belief. Now, when it comes to Nigel Farage, Nigel Farage realistically has nothing politically in common with Adolf Hitler. But what he's able to do, which is quite similar to Adolf Hitler and to Donald Trump, is to get people behind him. To get, if he believes in something, and he truly believes that he's the only person, in my view, he's the only person that can change the UK, and he's the only person that's good enough to be the next Prime Minister. Whether that's true or not, quite possibly. If you was actually to look at the candidates, if there was an election tomorrow, would I vote for him? No, I wouldn't. Would I say he's probably the best one out of Keir Starmer, Kemi, the numpty from the Liberal Democrats, Ed Davies, that's his name? Okay, quite likely I would say yes, he is probably the best person. Would he be able to do the job? I don't think so. Okay, and the main reason I don't think so is because he can't even manage 5 MPs. How can he manage 200-300? Which brings me on to some of the stuff that he's been talking about. Now, today, he's gone and said, we're going to make another big announcement to do with immigration. Now, this is the problem that I have with Nigel Farage, and it's my fundamental big gripe. Nigel Farage, and I'm going to speak directly to you, Nigel. If you want to be Prime Minister and you want to lead this country and you want to win the next election, which let's not stop pretending it's not for another 4 years. Okay, you need to speak about more than just the farmers, because you've hit on a nerve because of them being hit on taxes. And you need to speak about a damn sight more than immigration. Yes, people are affected and people are concerned about it. I know, because I put YouTube videos up and I've seen some of the comments that people put when I put videos up about immigration. So it is a big concern. But there's more affecting people in this country than there is about farmers having to pay a bit more tax. And I know I'm being a bit harsh there. And immigration. You need to start talking about more than just those two things, because that's your big problem at the moment. And when it came to Rupert Lowe, I understand why you pretty much would have got rid of him. You can't manage people. You can't manage groups. And he was talking about more. He was looking at the bigger picture. Okay, which brings me on to the other thing. And this I don't get. This is what I really don't get. And this really gets up my right nerve. Okay. Now, what Nigel Farage keeps on forgetting, the next election's not due into August 2029. It's not next week. It's not next year. It's not later on this year. Now, the old saying is, a week's a long time in politics, let alone 4 years. You can be the hero today and the villain tomorrow because of the way that the media in this country works. And, you know, whether you like that or not, that's reality. You know, so something could come out tomorrow about Nigel Farage. I'm not saying anything is going to come out. You know, maybe he's got something hidden in his past. And he's going to be the villain tomorrow. And this brings me on to something that really bugs me. Because Nigel Farage, in the last few days, on his own Facebook account, went and put 9 cabinet ministers are on course to lose their seats to reform. Based on what? What are you basing that on? That you might win some seats from Labour MPs? You could do, but anything can happen in 4 years. So that's just clickbait at the end of the day, as people are going to like to put it. It is nothing but clickbait. He might do. He might get, but there again, he also might lose all of his MPs at the next election and not gain any. That's just, it's liable, because even though he's ahead in the polls, and he is, I think he's on what, 25 points? Well, that might actually be Labour on 25 points. Okay. No, he's on 25%. So yeah, he's ahead, but he's not ahead by a lot. He's only ahead by 2 points ahead of Labour and 5 points ahead of the Conservatives. That can easily turn around. You know, it's like the start of the last cycle. Conservatives were ahead. By the end of it, they were in second place. Anything can change at the end of the day. So, Nigel, do yourself a favour. Start actually campaigning on things and talking about things that really affect people, that people really care about, and things that realistically you can actually do. Because at the moment, all you're talking is BS. And eventually, you are going to be held accountable. People are going to start questioning you, because I only have a small channel. Most people are not going to really pay much attention to me, to be honest. I'm not like the Piers Morgans. But one of these days, people are going to hold you to account. And one of these days, maybe you're going to be made to look as stupid as you actually act most of the time. And I don't like saying that, but I want Nigel Farage to actually come out and be honest with the people, rather than this rubbish which is populist, because he is, the Reform are a populist party, and there's nothing wrong with being a populist party, because what is populist? It means you're popular. But tell people the truth. What is actually realistic? Not just saying, oh, we're going to come out of the ECHJ. You know, how are you going to turn the country around? How are you going to change the economy around? How are you going to reform the NHS? How are you going to reform your judiciary system? And all these things will actually affect people. How are you actually going to stop illegal immigrants coming into this country? Because let's not forget, if somebody wants to claim asylum in this country, they have to come in illegally. They have no other way. So actually start telling people hard facts rather than telling people what they want to hear. So I think I've gone on enough and rambled on enough. So let us know in the comments, do you think Nigel Farage can do as well as he likes to play to the galleries that he's going to do at the next election, which isn't for over 4 years? What should he actually also be campaigning and talking about rather than just immigration and farmers? Because that's all he talks about. So let us know in the comments down below what you actually think. But for now, thanks for watching. I'll try and stay calm now. But for now, we'll speak to you again a bit later.